From the MZ Studios Dallas virtual studios in cyberspace, this is Deconstructing Dallas. Greetings, everyone. This is your host, Ryan Trimble, joined once again today by a man who's been looking forward to this fall semester of our show. He, of course, Shawn Williams. Shawn, welcome back, sir. Do you have your backpack packed for the fall semester?
Oh, yeah, man. I got my syllabus ready. I got my Trapper Keeper. I'm ready to roll for the fall. How are you?
Man, the Trapper Keeper, so great. What a great invention.
Yeah, especially when they started making the folders that had something on them besides just red, yellow, blue, and green. I know there's a certain segment of our audience who bought those for us, and who also there's a segment who has no idea what we're referring to.
Yes, our two favorite listeners, of course, spent probably hours and hours waiting for us to pick out folders at Walmart from the little cartons. Those, of course, being our mothers. So thank you, moms, for your patience as always with us.
Before we have a really exciting guest today on Deconstructing Dallas, but before that, as we continue to observe the quarantine in all of its forms, these last few weeks, we've gotten sports on top of sports.
Yeah, it's been really exciting. I don't know where you want to go first. I think probably we need to tip our cap, talk a little stick and puck, Shawn, your Dallas Stars in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, I have moved towards the Stars as things kicked back off and the NBA bubble got going. I remember the day a few weeks ago when the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, hockey, everybody was playing on the same day.
College football.
I think we had some college. We had the U.S. Open, Major League, all on the same day. I just sat on the couch and watched it all. And then right in the midst of that, the Stars started making their run in the bubble, in the NHL bubble. And I've watched more hockey in the last, probably 2.5 weeks than I have in the last 20 years.
Now, I will give you credit. You have a Stars hat that you have worn, with the new logo, the Victory Green logo. You have worn that thing proudly for several years. So, I
tried to make sure to take a few photos in the hat just to make sure that people can tell that this is not a bandwagon situation that I got going. This is a Stars representation that has been, long in the making.
Yes, I have an old hat that I bought at a bargain bin with the old logo, but I did go ahead and break down and buy a new hat. So I do have a new Victory Green hat.
I think that makes you a Stars fan.
Yes, go Stars. Oh, at the time of this recording, we are several hours away from game six. Excuse me, decisive game 6. Hoping that the Stars can send this thing to a 7th game. So go Stars. The other thing, obviously, Shawn knows well that this was coming for a long time. I have been on fire about my 3-0 SMU Mustangs football team. They are back in the saddle. They have followed COVID quarantine protocols so far. 0 positive tests. Tip of the cap to Sonny Dykes. Another tip of the cap to the Mustang Club, who sent me a lovely gift for being a member. Shawn, I got a grilling mitt with the Triple D logo. I got an apron with the Triple D logo, and one of those, it looks like a Solo cup, but it was a black, real plastic reusable Solo cup with the Triple D logo on it. So, man, I was feeling the Mustang love last Saturday, getting ready for my Mustangs to cruise to another victory against Stephen F. Austin.
We're not on video, but I think for the rest of this recording, I'm just going to have an image of you with your apron on, with your oven, with your cooking mitt on, with your hand around the microphone, because every time I see you anyway, you generally have on the SMU polo. So now it's just like you're adding to the repertoire.
Yeah, it's a little hard to click the mouse here with this oven mitt on, this grilling mitt, but we're making it work. So,
and I guess we won't talk Aggies. It was kind of more the same for the Aggies, which is fine. A win is a win in SEC. I think is awesome. Vanderbilt is cool. But, there's a lot of cowboy angst around town right now. And, before we get to talking about our guests, I just have 2 words: pay Dak. That's it for me. Pay Dak.
Yes. For any of our listeners who follow Shawn on Twitter, you have seen this message several times now. The pay Dak. I think you are the leader of the charge for that effort. So,
400-yard passing games do not fall out of the sky. 3 rushing touchdowns last week, 3 passing touchdowns this week. Unfortunately, Dak does not play cornerback or safety. They might have a better chance to win if he did. I don't know, but
I wonder if he can, just jump in there. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
But the quarterbacks usually wins and losses are pinned on the quarterback. That's why they make the big bucks. Oh, right. Dak still doesn't have a contract. So anyway, that's just where I follow.
He needs to be like your friend and co-host Ryan Trimble, who was a two-way player at the Albuquerque Academy back in the day, Shawn.
They need to probably consider that.
Yes. Throw him in there at outside linebacker. So, Shawn, I'm really excited about our guest today. Over the summer, the city of Dallas hired a new chief information officer, a gentleman named Bill Zielinski. Really excited to jump into our interview with Bill today. He has a pretty storied career with the federal government. Came from the GSA, the General Service Administration, but spent time at OMB. Spent time with the Social Security Administration. So he has a lot of experience and a lot of passion for technology and making technological improvements, which lo and behold, we really need them here in the city of Dallas, especially during a global pandemic.
Yeah, I'm very excited to share this interview with our listeners. Bill brings, as you mentioned, a lot of passion to this, a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience. It's funny, we had a conversation with him as well, leading up to the interview, and his family. Part of them, some of his sons are getting into the business as well. He has a lot of knowledge around the issues of technology that are facing our city, and it's really exciting for us to have this conversation, be able to share with our folks.
Yeah, we get to work with some great technology companies around town. I've had the chance to go up to Redmond and see Microsoft's campus. We get the pleasure working with the director of citizenship for the U.S. here, Ramel Mitchell, for Microsoft, and so it's exciting. It's something I know that you and I keep an eye on. We're passionate about, and so let's have no further ado. Let's jump into our interview with Bill Zielinski right after this break. Deconstructing Dallas, Ryan Trimble, Shawn Williams. Stick with us. Welcome back, Deconstructing Dallas. Ryan Trimble, Shawn Williams, and Shawn. I'm fired up. Be joined today by a gentleman who's new on the City Hall scene. He, of course, Bill Zielinski, the new Chief Information Officer for the City of Dallas. Bill, welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Bill. Where are you from? And tell us a little bit about your background.
You bet. Yeah, you think that's an easy question, but I'm a child of a U.S. serviceman, and so it's always difficult for me to pin down where I'm from. My father was actually stationed with the U.S. Army down in Fort Hood, where he met my mother through a mutual friend, and so they actually ended up getting married in Killeen, Texas. But for the fact that he got deployed to Germany, I actually would have been born here in Killeen, but as it is, I was born in Germany. We eventually, after moving around a bit, we eventually settled in the state of Washington, where I graduated from high school and attended Washington State University and got a degree in counseling psychology.
There you go.
Well, we know that you spent a little time with the federal government, Bill, and we'd love to know about your time with the General Service Administration and, other jobs you may have had with the federal government and technology.
You bet. So, yeah, I was with the federal government for 30 years before coming to the city of Dallas. A lot of those, about 14 of those years, were actually as an executive in federal government across a number of different agencies. I mentioned that I have a degree in counseling psychology, but I actually joined the Social Security Administration directly out of college in a local community-based Social Security office in the state of Washington, where I actually took retirement and disability claims. And so in many ways, even though it was a federal agency, I really started my government service at that local level. But as was the case there in the early 1990s, that was really kind of the start of technology. So where technology was in the hands of the many. So I made that shift into technology fairly early in my career. And as Social Security began to really move its processes from paper to electronic processing, I took a position back east in their headquarters technology department, and I worked my way up through a variety of different IT positions, including things like IT analyst, project manager, technical manager, before eventually becoming the agency CIO. Following that stint at the Social Security Administration as the CIO, I worked in the executive office of the president during the Obama administration for the federal CIO. And in that role, I led the team that reviewed and monitored the $80 billion federal IT budget, and I helped to formulate federal IT policy. And then after that, I moved to the General Services Administration, where I managed a series of very large pre-competed technology contracts that are used by federal, state, local government to purchase their technical capabilities. So each year, my group was responsible for helping government purchase more than $26 billion in technology. So realistically, in my 30 years of federal experience, 14 years as an executive, I've really worked in every aspect of technology, from operations to policy and IT acquisition.
Yeah, so Bill, a storied career with the federal government. I mean, you've touched a lot of agencies. Now you're back in Dallas. What made you decide to come back to the local level, and more specifically, what made you decide to come to Dallas?
Well, there's several reasons. So for one, I miss IT operations, right? I was the CIO at the Social Security Administration. That's pure IT operations. You don't really sleep. It's a 24/7 gig as the CIO. You're living and breathing on every whir of a machine, right? So I miss that. I miss all the sleepless nights. I miss all the pressure to deliver, the weight of the world on your shoulders. I like being in that mix. So for one, I miss IT operations, and getting back here to be the CIO for the city of Dallas, that really put me right back in kind of the operational aspects of technology. For two, while I really enjoyed all that work that I did with the federal government, a lot of really exciting, a lot of really interesting things, you are a degree removed from the people you serve. And so when you're the CIO for the ninth largest city in the United States like Dallas, you have that immediate and direct connection to the people that you serve. I started my career in a Social Security field office working directly with the community. And this really brings me right back to that local feeling, right? You could see how the work you do impacts both positively or negatively the people of the city. And then finally, my wife and I are now empty nesters, and I'm more toward the end of my career than I am to the beginning of my career. So I was really looking for what I hope will be my last job, one in which I can make an impact in terms of public service, and in a place where I might want to retire. So I think Dallas is that place for me.
Bill, I worked at the city of Dallas at a different part of my career, loved the time that I spent there, live in Dallas now. And so, I'm very interested in your vision for Dallas, what you've seen, and how you hope that future can look for us here in the city.
You bet. So just a little bit about that. I guess if I was a coach, right, I'd be an old school coach. I feel that same way about technology, right? So when I look at what I would call my technology vision for the city of Dallas, I think it's pretty straightforward, and it fits in kind of two buckets. That first bucket, it's really focused on the basics, right? As an IT organization, in and of yourself, you really don't have a mission, right? The mission that you have